A very good evening, everyone, and welcome, Shivani.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone.
As you all would agree, that people with disabilities are whole, multifaceted, and valued human beings. They deserve same entitlements, dignity, and autonomy as all others do, and they are equal contributors to the society as we all are. So today we have Shivani, and in this brief talk we are going to talk about inclusion of people with disabilities, and it's a very important topic we need to address. So Shivani, before we start, the clock is ticking, and I've already been told. So briefly, if you could talk about the foundation that you have.
So the name of my foundation is Smiling Dandelion Foundation, and the reason we kept dandelion is because dandelion is a very resilient flower, actually a weed, which nobody wants in their garden, and yet it grows. And every time it grows and it's at the end of its journey, it releases the seeds, right, for more to grow. And I think each and every person with disability is like that resilient, beautiful dandelion flower. Because no matter how much you trample, no matter how many challenges they are faced with, at the end of the day, they are the winner, and they spread love and nothing but love, just like a dandelion spreads the seeds.
So such a beautiful and powerful name, Shivani.
And the work we do is awareness, we do advocacy, and we look for allies, hoping that many of you would become our allies by the end of this session.
Okay, thank you. So, ADHD, autism, dyslexia, Down syndrome, we all know that all of these fall within the spectrum of different, of neurodiversity. There's a range of different neurodiverse conditions. So, how to make people, Shivani, understand that people with disabilities are not a homogeneous group, because and every person with disability needs warrants different kind of care, attention, and how to ensure or how to make people, how to sensitize people about this.
So there are many disabilities that we can see with our eyes. Those are physical disabilities, people who are blind, people who have hearing impairments. But there is a very, very large group of people who have what we call invisible disabilities, which could be autism. I'm blessed with a daughter who has Down syndrome. Many times you can't guess, but some people who've met other people with Down syndrome would be able to say, okay, this is a child with Down syndrome. But invisible disabilities apparently are the most misjudged disabilities. I think there is a misconception that people with disabilities cannot achieve anything. And I'll give you an example. I mean, as a foundation, we run on donations, people who are kind enough to come and give us whatever they feel is the need for us, apart from just giving us money. But there was a gentleman who came, and I had to convince him to give us some money for our school in Mohali. And his first comment was, "Madam, हमको भी पता आप कह तो रहे हैं, लेकिन इन्होंने कुछ करना तो है." So someone who steps into my office or comes to meet me with that kind of a mindset, it's very hard where to start from. So I told him, I said, "आपने श्रीकांत movie देखी है? Any of you watched Shrikant? It's a beautiful movie, right?" So I asked him, and I hit a roadblock because he said, "Madam, मैं तो picture ही नहीं देखता." So I said, "What do I do next?" So I took him into my vocational training room and I showed him these young adults working with a needle and a thread and sewing things which we sell and try to give them some training. And I said, this is all they have been able to make with their own hands, one stitch at a time. And I'm very happy to say that yesterday I got a check for 51,000 rupees. So it's all about spreading awareness. Unless people know the abilities of the people with disabilities, we are never going to be able to include them into mainstream society.
Yeah, my next question, Shivani, is somewhat related to it, an extension of what I've already asked. So, see, barriers to social inclusion sometimes include inaccessible physical environment, transportation, or non-adaptive means of communication, or for that matter, prejudices and biases. So how to get that inclusive status for persons with disabilities? Basically, how to unlearn the implicit biases. See, there are people who sometimes are consciously or unconsciously, insensitive. Like in this case, this person said something. So basically, people are not aware. Right.
That's right.
So, how is your foundation kind of, creating this awareness?
So I think attitudinal change can only happen when you know. I mean, if I wasn't blessed with a daughter with disability, I can assure you I wouldn't have known as much about disability as I know today. So the key is awareness, the key is talking about it. Physical accessibility is something that you can see. Now, for example, this place currently is not accessible to someone with a wheelchair. You have to pick up that person because there's no ramp. That is one type of accessibility. But there is another type of accessibility that is attitudinal. Are you accepting people in schools with disability? Are you just accepting them because the law states it? Or are you including them into mainstream because they're actually going to make a difference? And believe you me, when I talk about children and young adults or persons with disabilities, they make a difference. Today, a few days back, I interviewed a person who is a lower arm amputee. And I've hired him into my organization, it's a business, and he works on the computer. And when I was interviewing him, he said something very beautiful to me. He says, when I lost both my arms because of an electric shock, he was 10 years old. He says, सबने बोला in my village that he क्या करेगा, इसकी तकदीर तो मतलब है ही नहीं, कुछ नहीं कर पाएगा. He said, ma'am, जिनके हाथ नहीं होते, जिनकी लकीरें नहीं होती, क्या उनकी तकदीर नहीं होती? And today, he's done his graduation, he's done his master's degree, and he's working with us in our company. And he's the second person we've employed. The first one being somebody with an invisible disability. He has autism, he works in a remote form, and all we need is patience. All we need. So while through the organization I'm trying to spread the awareness, I'm looking for allies to work with me, I'm not just doing this for the people with disability. It is also a way to give back for all of you, for the people, for the mainstream society to learn empathy and compassion, something that we are all, it's the need of the hour, isn't it? That compassion and that empathy we all need, not just towards other people, but towards ourselves as well. So that is one of the work that we do, vocational training, employability, early intervention. So that is just a part, but I think every time I speak, like I'm speaking, it's a beautiful word, abracadabra, we all used it in our childhood. And it's actually a beautiful Hebrew word, because it means I create every time I speak. So every time I talk about disability, I feel like somewhere I have given a seed which will germinate sometime, and you'll all be able to include people with disabilities.
It's so empowering to know, and I think this is also a platform, where you are generating awareness, and I'm sure there will be many hands which will be joining you very soon in this noble deed. And I also want to, as you mentioned, there are governments which will frame laws and policies, securing the rights of disabled people. But more than that, I think we need the attitudinal shift. Where do you see India approaching, in terms of inclusive status for people with disabilities? Where do you see India?
I think in India the biggest problem is the pervasiveness of stigma, which is very, very disconcerting. Very. And I think सबसे पहले उस stigma को हटाना है. When you have a child who you think there could be some challenge, लग रहा है कुछ गड़बड़ है, about 18 months, 2 years, I'm talking about invisible disability, which by the way is rampant right now. In India, every family, because of the extra stimulation that a child is getting, we are seeing autism on the rise, ADHD on the rise, and सबसे पढ़े लिखे परिवारों में, most educated families also, I feel there is no acceptance. Siblings of people who have disabilities do not get married because there is a misconception that the disability would be hereditary, genetic, दूसरों बच्चों में भी आ जाएगा. So I feel the first thing is the stigma, and our country is, that is something that we need to work with. Also, another thing I've seen in our country, which I've not seen anywhere else, is while we believe in the theory of karma, The problem is that anytime you get a child with a disability in your family, you see, किसी पाप का नतीजा है. The problem is not, that's what I tell each parent, it's not the path. You are so blessed, it's an opportunity for you to raise your consciousness, to awaken what's inside you, which we all need to awaken, the inner core as we call it. This is an opportunity given to you by the Supreme Being or by the universe. Don't think of it as a result of some bad karmic action. ये दो चीजें अगर हमारे देश में यहीं से शुरू हो जाए, I think a lot can be achieved.
Very true, and I believe that the immediate family, people around you, they also need to embrace, understand, and accept. So it should start at home, and we've seen people around us within our homes. There is not much acceptance. For example, there's a child with ADHD, and your family may dismiss it as something. ये तो हाइपर एक्टिव है, सब बच्चे हाइपर एक्टिव होते हैं, अपने आप ठीक हो जाता है. So not this acceptance has to come, and it has to start from home, right? Thank you, Shivani. And my next question is, when we look around, whether those are small organizations, corporate houses, or any other workplace for that matter, employers show a level of reluctance when it comes to recruiting, people with disabilities. It may be because of the skepticism or doubt about their ability, or it may be just the discomfort of having somebody around, who is not like us, who is visibly very different from us. So how to, create that inclusive space? And there is more than a buzzword these days. So we have this acronym DRDEIA. So diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. So how to create that respect and inclusivity for?
So what happens is a lot of corporate that I have seen who are now including people with disabilities into their organization. There is a term which has come up, it's called add diversity and stir, which means because you're compelled by the policy, you will hire people with disability. But the problem is that it's not just giving them some, your workforce some training, आपने ramp बना दिया, accessible bathroom बना दिया, और आपने inclusion के नाम पे अपना responsibility complete कर दी. The thing that you need to do is develop or bring about a change in the culture of your organization. It has to come from very deep, it has to be very deep seated in your organization, which means you have a talk with your workforce, with your employees. We are deciding to employ people with disabilities. It could be invisible or physical or whatever. And I have personally seen, I'm talking about very big organizations, talking about Microsoft, SAP Labs, I'm talking about big organizations who have created a program to hire people with disabilities. And they all come back and say, there is a change in the environment. Energy बदल जाती है organization में. Why? Because people have gratitude. So दूसरों को देखते हैं कि इतने challenges के बाद भी this guy or this girl is continuously working hard. तो मैं क्यों नहीं कर सकता? One is gratitude. The other is they inspire. Somebody who doesn't have arms is still able to type faster than a neurotypical person is nothing but inspiration. So inclusion should not just happen in the name of for the sake of inclusion. It should happen when you're actually bringing change in your environment, cultural change in your environment.
I agree absolutely. Coming to as we all know, that language and terminology that we use, that shapes our identity and that defines us in some way. So how do we sensitize people about the right use of terminology for people with disabilities? Because at times people show insensitivity in the use of, they do not know actually.
Yeah. So this is an ever-evolving language. We've moved on from something called retarded, right? उस शब्द का इस्तेमाल बिल्कुल नहीं करना चाहिए. Retardation, deaf and dumb, not to be used. You can say people who are hearing impaired, right? Because somebody who's hearing impaired may obviously not be able to speak, right? Blind is all right, but when it comes to neurodiversity, you can say people who are differently abled, special needs, and it is just somebody who's autistic. It's fine. A lot of people with autism will say, we won't like you to say autistic. Say I am, for example, Shivani and I have autism. Because my identity is not just autism, my identity is that I am Shivani. But that's an ever-evolving language. I'm sure, as long as you're not hurtful, as long as you don't say mand, buddhi and pagal, I'm sure you're fine.
Yeah, there are several nuances, and at the institutional level, in my classes, we discuss a lot about the use of gender-neutral language in general, inclusive language. But that happens in the classrooms. What about reaching out to the masses and sensitizing them about not using words like retarded, and that's very important for people to understand. Shivani, my last question to you, because you are a therapeutic storyteller. So, how is storytelling telling beneficial in enhancing the social competences of people with disabilities?
Okay, so storytelling, I think, is anyways a very underused tool in our society, whether it's school, whether it's the corporate environment as well. Anywhere you go, stories make a difference, right? It helps people connect. It helps people understand emotions of each other. Especially for people with intellectual disabilities, it's the only therapeutic tool which gives them an environment where they can forget about a lot of things like sensory overload, where they can forget about fear. It releases so many different types of chemicals in your brain that you're able to trust your storyteller, and it creates a happy environment. It's the only therapy session where I have seen children smiling. Otherwise, my experience of going to therapy centers is children screaming inside and parents silently crying inside. But stories is the only way where you can do all kinds of therapies in one story. Speech therapy, OT, physiotherapy, सब कुछ हो जाएगी और बच्चा हंसते हुए बाहर है.
Very nice. And I want to know here, do you use stories as narrative therapy, or whether
Both. One is you teach them everything that you need to teach them about the world through stories. The other, I've had many young adults with autism who were able to communicate and speak, have been able to tell their stories either through writing books or coming up on a stage like this and telling their stories.
Thank you so much, Shivani. I'm sure it's been a great session. It's been great talking to you, and this discussion ends here, but I'm sure let us keep this torch of creating awareness about this issue burning. So thank you, Shivani.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Great job, great service to humanity.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
One question from the audience, please. Please stick to one only. Thank you.
Hi Shivani. First of all, congratulations for the amazing work that you are doing, and especially spreading the awareness about this really important matter. So we spoke about you spoke about inclusivity, you spoke about raising awareness. So I personally feel that it is extremely important that that children with special needs are included in mainstream schools and mainstream education. And though I've seen in tier 1 cities there is some progress there, but if we talk about say Chandigarh schools, there is literally nothing. So what is the biggest barrier? Because I think that is one that will really sensitize not just the peer children studying together, but also the parent community. There's so much change which will happen, but why is it not happening? Though from the government there isn't it's actually asked to do it, right?
In most cases laws ban jate hain but implement nahi hote hain, right? So it's the same for our community as well. There is a law which stipulates that every educational institution is bound by law to take in people with disabilities. But when my daughter had to go for admission 10 years back, I was told we don't have the expertise to taking her over. That was 10 years back, but it's the same case even today because there is no desire. Right? There has to be a desire to be able to want to include these people because there is lack of awareness और यही सोच है कि ये बच्चे तंग करते हैं क्लास में, दूसरे बच्चों को पढ़ने नहीं देंगे, and lot of other misconceptions like this, and that can only be taken away through awareness, through talking about it, for parents to come out openly and say, this is my child's right, I want the admission.
Yes,
and
yes.
putting their foot down.
Yeah.
And that's the only way it will happen. Some fight, some love, and some compassion.
Yeah.
I just want to add, you mentioned schools show reluctance, but I think there is reluctance on the part of other parents also, parents of other children, you know.
So we do empathy programs in schools where we say, we talk about empathy and compassion with younger children aged 5, 7, 6, because they need to learn compassion not just for our children with disabilities but for themselves as well. Perfection, which we are all looking for, is nothing else but a mirage.
Yeah.
Right? Because this world is made of imperfection, and once we realize that, we will be wholeheartedly accepting each one of us, because every one of us are diverse. And you.
Yeah, so that's like, that's the step where it has to really begin. Because we are not just doing skill building, we are also empathizing the entire community about, because they are a part of us, like, they have very much right to everything that other children have. So, yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.